Welcome to the Johnny Massacre Show. The theme of today's show is Give an Inch, Take a Mile, where we'll cover SJWs who are extremely angry at Harry Potter author JK Rowling, however you pronounce it, for saying that men can't be women and women can't be men. Also, on today's Johnny Massacre Show, feminists and social justice warriors are again angry with Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. Can you fucking believe it? Give an inch, take a mile. And finally, Stormzy is a knob. So thank you for tuning in. If you are new here and you became a subscriber because of my recent rant/review of Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, I really appreciate it. Welcome back. So I'll try to give you more of the same fun and games today. So give an inch, take a mile. The theme of today's show is if you pander to the social justice activists on Twitter, they will never be satisfied and they will basically ruin your life. So you're going to see what I'm talking about as we look at the recent cultural news. So I mentioned JK Rowling. I don't know how the fuck you pronounce it. I'm going to call her JK Rowling. So JK Rowling, as you probably know, is the author of the Harry Potter series. She's got bare cash blood. Trust me, she got coin, you get me, like proper millions of pounds, nearly billions blood. She probably has £1 billion fucking pounds. She's made it in life. And she has gotten into trouble recently for saying on Twitter that men can't be women and women can't be men, which, as you all know, is true. Did Johnny Massacre really just say that men can't be women and women can't be men? Yes, I did, motherfucker, because it's true. And if you don't believe that, you are mentally ill or lying. So the interesting thing about this is there is an element of schadenfreude about all the social justice warriors attacking JK Rowling, because JK Rowling has said a lot of ridiculous shit on Twitter. She is a virtue signaling hard lefty, and she was always tweeting about Donald Trump and Donald Trump's racist, this, that, and the third, all the shit you've already heard, all these kind of cuss words that have now lost their meaning because they're just thrown around like candy. And people used to come back at JK Rowling and say, hey, if you're so in support of immigrants, why don't you take some immigrants in your 15 plus bedroom mansion in London? Why not? And she was always silent then. So JK Rowling has been a bit of a social justice warrior, and now she's being eaten by one of her own. Give an inch, take a mile. You cannot pander to these people, because eventually, when you don't give in to their ridiculous demands, they will turn on you and eat you. They will cannibalize themselves. So why don't we get into the meat and fucking potatoes, right, of today's show, this JK Rowling controversy. So why don't you come over, my friends? So this article sums up quite well about the current controversy. So it says, the headline is, I write LGBTQ inclusive books for children. JK Rowling's tweet breaks my heart. So this is an article in the UK newspaper Independent. So this person is claiming to be an authority on LGBTQ issues because they write books for children. Let me first start off by saying that if you write LGBTQ books for children, you are an abuser, because LGBTQ basically comes down to your sexual preference. That's what it's all about. If you're lesbian, you want to grind your clam on another clam. If you're gay, you want to get it on, a guy wants to get it on with another man. And if you're trans, you're a bit confused. But these are all about your sexuality, okay? Now, kids are not sexual creatures. I don't need to spell this out for you. Children don't need to be educated about fucking when they're like 5 or 6. They're not even thinking about that. All they're thinking of is the next pack of fucking sweeties they're gonna eat. And that's pretty much it. You know, kids 24/7 think about drugs, aka sugar. That's all they're concerned about. They're not concerned about sexual stuff, and they're definitely not concerned about LGBTQ stuff. So to give kids books on this when they're that age is fucking bizarre. Let a kid be a kid until they grow up. Kids don't know what the fuck they're doing. Kids believe in Santa Claus. Kids believe a big fat bastard is going to come down the chimney with a bunch of fucking reindeer and they're all going to munch your mince pies and carrots. That's what kids believe. They are not in the position to make any life decisions, let alone ones about their sexuality. Leave them alone. So this author is claiming to be an authority on LGBTQ stuff, and he's or she or it's making books to indoctrinate young children. Let's go back to this article that's criticizing JK Rowling. So JK Rowling's tweet breaks my heart. You're going to see what this tweet is in a minute. Oh, it breaks my heart. It must be something absolutely discriminatory and awful and prejudiced. So to start off with, the author is called Ollie Pike. So I did a little bit of research, and this is Ollie Pike. Shall we find out what Ollie has to say, and then we'll see if we agree with him. Let's listen to Ollie.
It's my plan to get a copy of my latest LGBT plus inclusive book into every single UK primary school. And you can be a part of this plan. Just go to popandolly.com/Kenny Lives and donate a copy.
So you want to get an an alphabet community book into every primary school in England. So if we Google primary school UK starting age, it's 5 years old. So this guy who's claiming to be some kind of moral arbiter for how gay people should be treated and respected is trying to give 5-year-olds books about sexuality. What the fuck is going on in this clown world? Like, how could anyone possibly be on this guy's side? I do not understand it at all. So let's go to Ollie's article and let's read it. So Ollie says, many young trans people found an escape in the Harry Potter books as they discovered who they were, and their beloved author's statements have shocked and hurt them. So let me get this right. He's saying that because JK Rowling is saying that men can't be women and women can't be men, which is true, that it shocked and hurt people. Anyone that is shocked and hurt is a total pussy. Either that or you're severely mentally ill. Honestly. If you're a biological male and someone says that you cannot become a woman, which is true, and you are shocked and, according to Ollie, hurt, there is no hope for you. You have probably been convinced by the mainstream media that being a victim is some kind of currency. And so you want to promote that by feeling shocked and hurt. Well, if you feel that way, you are going to feel upset about everything for the rest of your life, because that is basic reality. It's a basic scientific fact. And there is no shame in telling the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts. You can't always go around telling the truth. You know, if you did that, you walk down the street and you'd be like, mate, you're fucking ugly. Oh, you got well nice tits, darling. You get into a fight and society would descend into chaos. But that being said, reality is reality. If somebody says you're a biological male and you can't become a woman, which is true, that's not even being said in a sexual way, in an aggressive way. It's just a factual thing. You have to accept it. And I refuse to accept this culture, this outrage culture, this butthurt, weak victim culture, where we're all shrieking and pearl clutching over the most trivial stuff. Fuck all that. Anyone who gets upset by that is a pussy. If I was trans, I wouldn't give a fuck if someone said that, because it's just reality. The article continues. In Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, JK Rowling once wrote that it takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies, but just as much to stand up to our friends. Which is why it has been incredibly difficult bearing witness to her most recent tweets in support of Maya Forstater, sounds a bit like foreskin, a woman whose story hit the news after her contract was not renewed due to her views on gender identity. So this woman lost her job for saying men cannot be women and women cannot be men. Let that soak in. In England, the country where I'm from, you will lose your job for stating unequivocal, objective, scientific facts. How this has happened, I do not fucking know, because about 10 years ago, nobody gave a shit about this stuff. But now suddenly, it's not only just a hot topic, but it is affecting people's day-to-day lives to the point where you can be cancelled. All of your income can be taken away for stating facts. That's extremely dangerous shit. I'm a real dude. I might not be right 100% of the time, but I always just say how I feel, and I keep it real. Because what else can you do? If you don't do that, you'll live in a life of slavery. You'll live in a life of oppression. Imagine that, always having to be politically correct and say what others want you to say. That is an Orwellian nightmare. So I just say what I want to say. If you do that now in England, you can lose your whole job. Let that sink in for a second. That's why I choose not to live in England. Fuck that. The article continues. The author says, for many of us, Rowling has been our entire childhoods, our escape, and at times our best friend. Not for me, because JK Rowling's books are absolute shite. So what was JK Rowling's tweet? Well, here it is. The author says, Rowling's tweet was unambiguous. It says, dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, sleep with any consenting adult who'll have you, live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real. I stand with Maya. This is not a drill. So JK Rowling actually made a really, really weak statement there. She didn't come out and say, listen, all you people who are saying men can't be women and women can't be men, you're totally wrong. You're idiots. You people are sick. You people are telling lies. She basically said that in the most liberal, tiptoeing way possible. She basically said, just do whatever you like, sleep with whoever you want, dress however you want, say whatever you want, but don't make a woman lose her job for stating facts that sex is real. And JK Rowling is actually totally right here. But all the kind of controversy surrounding this and the intro of this article would lead one to believe that what JK Rowling said was unbelievable, like fuck gay people or fuck trans people. She didn't say anything of the sort. She just said a fact. I'm not going to be part of a society that doesn't accept scientific facts. If you're going to be in denial because of feelings, sorry mate, you are wrong, and you need to be stopped, because if this shit goes unchecked and facts have no relevance anymore, then life will be unlivable. Will be unlivable. People can just make shit up like that, and so you have to follow what I say. And if not, it's hate speech. That's why this whole hate speech thing comes about. It's a form of control, and it's a form of accumulating power. So, right, that's what the tweet was. So I just wanted to share that with you. That's what all this controversy is about with JK Rowling. Now, if you want to read a little deeper into this case where someone lost an employment tribunal over refusing to recognize transgender rights, I have actually gone over to that article and we can have a little look at it together. Here it is, again in The Independent. The title of the article is Researcher Who Lost Job for Tweeting Men Cannot Change into Women Loses Employment Tribunal. So let's dig a little deeper into this case. The article says, a researcher who lost her job after tweeting that men cannot change their biological sex has lost an employment tribunal after her opinions were ruled absolutist. The Central London Employment Tribunal upheld the firing of tax expert Maya Forstater, 45, over a series of tweets questioning government plans to allow people to self-identify as another gender. Ms. Forstater was a visiting fellow at the Centre for Global Development, CGD, which is a think tank based in London and Washington that campaigns against poverty. She was accused of using offensive and exclusionary language on Twitter for saying men cannot change into women. That's all she said, which is a scientific fact, and it's not even a controversial thing. People have known this for fucking, well, thousands of years. Her legal dispute against her former employer was seen as a test on whether a gender-critical view that there are only two biological sexes was a protected philosophical belief under the 2010 Equality Act. Oh my God, this reads like something out of an Orwellian nightmare. So not only has this woman lost her job for saying men cannot change into women, she might as well have lost her job for saying something like elephants can't fly. Same logic, both completely factually and scientifically incorrect. So not only has she lost her job over something as trivial as that, but she went to a court to try to get this decision overturned, and the court ruled against her for being too absolutist. So saying a fact is too absolutist. What does that even mean? So you're not allowed to state facts? You have to be open to saying that the fact is not true just because? This doesn't make any sense at all. If you're confused, don't worry, so am I, because this is nonsensical. And not only that, this article is saying that believing that men could change into women is potentially a protected philosophical belief. This is such a weird thing to be talking about. Is this really happening? What kind of world have we woken up in? So I wanted to give you a bit more information on that case, just to show you how ridiculous it is. And finally, we're going to start looking at the books that Ollie Pike, the author of this article that started off today's Johnny Massacre show, has written. So let's go back to Ollie Pike. Ollie Pike, according to The Independent, is the creator of Pop and Ollie, an LGBT plus educational resource for children, parents, carers and teachers. His videos and books are being used in primary schools across the UK and beyond to teach about equality and diversity. So let's look at this guy's book, who is writing this article saying that JK Rowling is transphobic because she said that men cannot turn into women. Here it is, Pop and Ollie by Ollie Pike. So Ollie Pike has written a book called Prince Henry, an equality fairy tale romance story. And the website looks like it was made in 5 minutes by an amateur using the WordPress coding software. So this is the book that's being handed out to 5-year-olds in the United Kingdom. Prince Henry, so it's 2 guys holding hands, okay. Then we've got a little excerpt from the book, and it says, once upon a time in a faraway kingdom lived a young prince called Henry. He lived in a big castle with his parents, who were the king and queen. So there's not too much there about homosexuality. But then look at the next picture. We have got a diverse clusterfuck. We've got a blonde woman in a wheelchair. We've got lesbians, we've got gays. We've got black people, we've got white people. We've got an anthropomorphic balloon because we wouldn't want to hurt the inanimate objects' feelings, would we? And we've got a Muslim. So this just shows you how much people have lost it, who've gone so far to the left. They're so brainwashed by all the leftist ideological talking points that they just start peddling complete and utter nonsense. So in this picture, we've got, it's all about gay people, and there is a Muslim on the cover. Okay, so Muslims, in 15 Muslim majority countries, gay people are stoned to death. So this just shows you the author has a very bad case of cognitive dissonance. Their narrative is oppressor versus oppressed. So basically, the classic case of this in modern times is the old white man versus minorities and, people of color, women, disabled, all that kind of stuff. And Muslims rank very high on the victimhood scale. They are a valuable currency to be exploited to push the leftist agenda. When people on the left virtue signal about Muslims and minorities and all this kind of stuff, don't be tricked into thinking that they really give a fuck about these people, because how many saints have you really met in your life that genuinely give a fuck about people? No, most of these people, like Ollie Pike, the author of this article, are trying to exploit minorities and use them to push their narrative, and they will be discarded as soon as they're not valuable anymore. By the way, I am nobody's victim. And I really mean that. I don't blame anyone for anything. Not one failure in my life. I was responsible for every last one. If a loved one close to me contracted cancer, I would take the blame from that. And I wouldn't blame anyone for it. That's just my policy. And in the same light, Muslims don't need your help, Ollie. And gay people don't need your help either. They don't need you to try to convince them that everybody hates them and everybody's out to get them. Because the last time I checked, England, where you live, is probably the best place in the world to be a gay person. So the cognitive dissonance here is that Muslims don't murder gays in 15 Muslim majority countries, which therefore allows them to be portrayed in the same pot as gays, transgender, women, and so on. So this cover that Ollie is showing, featuring gay people and a Muslim, just shows that he's gone so far off the leftist deep end that he is never ever going to come back. So yeah, I was kind of dismayed to kind of dig into this. I heard about the JK Rowling tweets and I started looking at it, and when I kind of digged a little deeper, it was just what I thought it would be. It was like a load of progressive nonsense, and I hate it when that's the case. I wish that I'd be surprised and find a little bit of reason and rationale out there, but things are just as bad as I thought they would be. So I will not be reading that book anytime soon. Now, there's a guy on YouTube I found who's talking about whether JK Rowling is transphobic, and fucking hell, man. If this is the argument for transgender people out there, the transgenders have no hope at all. So take a look at my screen and I will shock you. So this guy is a transgender YouTube commentator, and he represents the trans community, or so he says, and he gives his take on why people are so wrong about sticking up for JK Rowling and how JK Rowling is transphobic. Here we go.
So
look, this guy barely can start a sentence without sighing. He's obviously a very stressed out person.
Up to the present, where Ms. Rowling tweeted her support of a woman named Maya Forstater. Forstater was a tax expert for a think tank who was let go for publicly voicing her hardline views on gender, which basically boiled down to men are men, women are women, nobody can change what they were born as.
That is not a hardline opinion. I'm sorry. Saying that women cannot be men and men cannot be women is not a hardline opinion. What is hardline about that at all? That is reality. So be careful, people, because the more you pander to these people, give an inch, they'll take a mile. These people represent less than 1% of the population. They are mentally ill. They need medication, they need surgery, they need counseling, they need treatment. The suicide rate among transgender people is, well, at least 40% of transgender people have attempted to commit suicide, all right? So if you say to these people, this is totally fine, you're just totally normal, there is nothing wrong with you, you are basically leading these people to an early grave. That's like saying to a schizophrenic person, you don't need any medication, everything's fine with you. Now look, I'm not directly comparing schizophrenia to, gender dysphoria. The point of the analogy is, if you have mentally ill people, if you don't treat them, they're going to end up really sick, their problems are going to be exacerbated, and then, God forbid, what else happens to them, right? So, pandering to these people, they're going to try to normalize their niche mentally ill view. And they are now telling you on the public platform that saying men are men and women are women is a hardline stance. This is clown world. Something I'm not part of, and you shouldn't want to be part of either, and you should speak up against this nonsense. Let's go back to what this crazy person is saying.
The only precise quote that I found was, men cannot change into women.
Which is a scientific fact, and there's nothing wrong with stating a scientific fact at all.
Because there was only so far down this rabbit hole I was prepared to go to.
And this is the problem with these people. This guy can't even be asked to do his research. I couldn't be bothered to go down this rabbit hole because I was just too offended. Why didn't he do that?
Her exact words. But much like with Burns, nobody appears to be arguing that Forstater isn't transphobic, including the woman herself. Instead, the debate has been over whether or not she should have lost her job. This came up in the news cycle because earlier this week, the Central London Employment Tribunal ruled against her and said that her dismissal was fair in their view.
This is an absolute travesty. For stating a scientific fact that men are men, it's like saying this table is made of wood, the sky's blue, and this jacket is fucking cool. It's just a scientific fact, and she lost her job for it.
Now, I don't know exactly how this tribunal works, but from what I understand, it's not technically a legal entity, but it has statutory jurisdiction to settle disputes between employers and employees. So she lost the case that was before them, basically because of how unambiguous her stance was.
What's unambiguous about men and men? White is white, black is black, food is food, men are men. How can anyone argue against that? If you do, society will crumble. Nothing means anything at all. Everything's relative. Not only is morals relative, but reality is relative. Then fuck it. I'm the king. Give me all your money, you cunt.
To use the exact words from the judgment that was issued, the judge said, "I conclude from the totality of the evidence that she is absolutist in her view of sex, and it is a core component of her belief that she will refer to a person by the sex she considered appropriate, even if it violates their dignity and or creates an intimidating, hostile, degrading, humiliating, or offensive environment."
Okay, so listen to that shit. This is just mind-blowing stuff. So the court, when they ruled against this woman who was trying to get her sacking, her firing overturned, their reasoning was that she was absolutist in her view that men are men, even if it violates the dignity or creates an intimidating, hostile, degrading, humiliating, or offensive environment. So if facts humiliate people, then you're basically breaking the law. What kind of world are we living in when we're not allowed to say facts anymore? If you say a fact, you can get in trouble or lose your job. It doesn't make any sense. And don't compare this to something like saying to someone, you're fat, or, you've got a big nose. This wasn't said in a way to hurt anyone, to make anyone feel like shit, to humiliate someone, to degrade someone. She's stating her own personal beliefs generally that men are men. And that is not offensive. It's not humiliating. It's not intimidating. If anyone feels that, that's more of a reflection on them than the person who's supposedly the perpetrator. Whiny bitches, there's plenty of them out there who'll blame anyone and anything for their problems. That's almost the default loser human position. It's, they did this to me, he did this to me, he hit me, he said, shut the fuck up, man. That's baby stuff. Stop blaming other people. Stop being a victim. Being a victim is so addictive. And I'm telling you, that's just what weak people do all day. So there's a transgender guy I found with a lot of views on YouTube giving his opinion about why JK Rowling is in the wrong. And I'm arguing that he's talking a load of shit. And yeah, these people are mentally ill. We're going to look at that in a second. And if you listen to a mentally ill person with an irrational brain that's not functioning properly, with your rational functioning brain, we're going to end up talking for the last 25 minutes about this complete nonsense when it can just be summarized as thus: men are men, women are women, end of story. So that was pretty interesting. So that's okay. So mental illness. Now, the thing I really hate about all of this is trying to normalize this mental illness of transgenderism, because these people are sick, and if they don't get the right help they need, they're going to end up dead. So telling these people that everything is fine is really going to hurt them. I don't understand this. If it wasn't a problem, why are these people so distressed? They're trapped in the wrong body. They feel they're trapped in the wrong body. That means they're stressed. They feel like shit. That's like a living nightmare. How can you say that's fine? It's not. It's a mental illness. And the crazy thing is, we live in such a culture of political correctness. The authorities, in England at least, or this might be globally, we're going to have a look now, some kind of serious medical authority relabeled transgenderism from mental illness to something else that sounds a little bit kinder, just because they don't want to hurt people's feelings. So in the realm of science and facts, which are designed to help people and save lives, now we're editing that and censoring that so as to not hurt people's feelings and potentially damaging them more. It's just unbelievable shit. So I said trans people are mentally ill. Why do I say that? Well, have a look at my screen and all will become clear. On hrc.org, they say, new study reveals shocking rates of attempted suicide among trans adolescents. So let's scroll down a little bit. And it says, among non-binary youth, 41.8% of respondents stated that they had attempted suicide at some point in their lives. So transgender youths are... About half of the transgender youth population has attempted suicide. According to the BBC, the people who made this statement is HWO, which is the World Health Organization. So let's have a look at this article, which is just a damning indictment of political correctness. They basically say transgenderism is not a mental illness anymore, but it's still a mental illness. We're just going to change the word so it sounds a bit kinder. What the fuck are you doing? Why would you want to be kind about this shit? You need real, raw facts if you're going to help people. This article says, transgender health issues will no longer be classified as mental and behavioral disorders under big changes to the World Health Organization's Global Manual of Diagnoses. Okay, so if transgenderism is no longer a mental and behavioral disorder, then why, when I Google transgenderism, am I greeted by a plethora of websites that say things like this? I think I'm trans. This article says, getting medical treatment as a trans person means that in all likelihood, you're going to see multiple different health professionals. The treatments available range from counseling to hormones and surgery, and different individuals will choose to have different treatments depending on their personal needs. So, if transgenderism is no longer a mental and behavioral disorder, why then are there plenty of articles online about receiving treatments such as counseling, hormones, and surgery? This doesn't make any sense. So I Googled what is medical treatment. You know what came up? Medical treatment means the management and care of a patient to combat disease or disorder. So if medical treatment is management and care of disease or disorder, how can the World Health Organization say transgenderism is not a mental and behavioral disorder and yet still offer support to transgenders? This is really sick stuff. This doesn't make sense. It's like an oxymoron. It's basically saying transgenderism is not a disease, and yet transgenderism people need treatment, which is help for disease. Why would you do this? It's because people are terrified of political correctness. And if you step out of line a little bit, you will be blown up online by the very noisy Klu Klax Tran community. So this is just, I don't know, the more I read this, the more unsettling I think all of this is. And pointing out these facts, which should help people, means that I'm the bad guy here. This kind of sounds like fascism, doesn't it? Because fascism is basically implementing your political ideas through pressure, political pressure, or force. And that's basically what this is. This is very political. This is not about helping people anymore. This is about a whole group of people on the far left exploiting trans people and minorities to push their message. And if you don't adopt this ideology, which is basically a leftist strategy to get voted into power, then it's hate speech. So it seems like this is all kind of tied up in a very evil attempt to censor anyone who thinks differently to you, aka the left at the moment. It's really, really disturbing. And I'm not going to be bullied into saying that something that's not true is true. No fucking way, mate. Not me. So there's plenty more articles about JK Rowling online. There's one on CNN saying JK Rowling got it wrong. I don't think we really need to read anything else here. If you've listened this far, you can see quite clearly that JK Rowling did nothing wrong. And the main problem here is the power afforded to people by social media platforms where everyone has a voice and everyone is terrified of political correctness. And political correctness is used as a tool to bully people and to accumulate power. And there is a section of the trans community at the moment that's very, very power hungry. Give them an inch, they will take a mile. They're right now bullying people, silencing people into adopting their false ideology, blatantly false, ridiculous ideology. There's people losing their jobs over it. And soon you're going to see people going to jail for this kind of stuff, for speaking out, for speaking truths. That's where we're going. We're going into a 1984 style George Orwell cataclysm. So that is the first part of the wonderful news going around the world today. I want to move away from stuff on JK Rowling. There's more shit, but I think you've heard everything you need to know. I've taken off my jacket because mate, this is really fucking hot. But I wanted to wear it because I just bought it and it's new. But yeah, I'm going to be sweating like a pig. So next up today, social justice warriors are getting angry with Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. Now, this is just delicious. This is just delicious. So sometimes people eat their own. So Star Wars is infected with leftist ideology, feminism, whamming, social justice, all that kind of stuff. And most people online wanted to get behind it because they're afraid of not being seen as politically correct. Once these things are put out there by people on the left through movies and Disney, if any normal people criticize them, they get called homophobes, sexist, bigots, and they're exploited by the people on the left who baited those ideological talking points into the media. And that's very frightening for most people. So they choose not to say anything about it and they just support the movie. What I love, though, is those same people who supported Star Wars are now being attacked by the absolute hardcore left because they're still not woke enough. See what I said? Give an inch, take a mile. So let's have a look at this fucking hilarious article that is saying the wokest movie of all time is not woke enough. Give an inch, take a mile. So we are on thedailybeast.com, which is a social justice central. So they say J.J. Abrams' final chapter in the new Star Wars trilogy backtracks the boldest ideas of the previous entry, The Last Jedi, and in the process succumbs to bad faith fans. These people are so ideologically twisted that they just see their ideological talking points everywhere. You're all racist, you're all sexist. Even in the wokest movie ever, it's still sexist, it's still racist. These people have completely lost it. The article says, midway through Rise of Skywalker, a bolt of lightning cracks the sky in two. It's a moment of illumination, or at least it's supposed to be, revealing a new, unexpected answer to a mystery the Star Wars saga had previously put to rest. Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi resolved the intrigue surrounding the heroine of this new sequel trilogy, Rey, and her parentage with the gracefully simple, bold assertion, Rey is just Rey. Fuck off with that shit. What is bold about that? The main character is just the main character. We don't need any backstory. She's just amazing by default because in this weird socialist Marxist utopia, nobody really has a name in Star Wars. Rey is just Rey. We don't need any kind of background story. It's progressivism. It's liberalism gone off the deep end. The article continues. Rey's a scavenger from Jakku, descended from ordinary junk traders who left her behind on the planet Soldaroth and never looked back. Not the daughter of some space aristocracy or legacy lineage, but a hero of her own making. By aristocracy or legacy lineage, they're talking about white imperialism. These people are obsessed with race. Stop it. You're dividing everyone. How can we ever have equality? Or how can we all just get along when these people are training the average slack-jawed idiot who reads this shit to divide everything by sex, race, colour, financial background, all that kind of stuff. We're all going to hate each other. It's just nonsense, man. These people pretend to care about all these things, but they're making it so much worse. So either they're evil cunts who know that, or they're just ignorant fuckers who don't know that. Either way, they're cunts, man. Seriously, they're training everyone to divide everything up by sex and gender. If you do that, you're going to be a judgmental bastard, but their whole message is to not be judgmental. They're just hypocrites. The article continues, and that was enough until that lightning strike. Pushed to the limits of her abilities and desperate to save a friend, Rey shoots bolts of electricity from her fingertips, just the way Emperor Palpatine could before Darth Vader killed him at the end of Return of the Jedi. We soon learn that Rey from nowhere is in fact Rey Palpatine, granddaughter of the sinister puppet master behind the Sith's plots to take control of the Force in the original and prequel Star Wars trilogies. It's a baffling twist, not least because the movie never touches on just when, exactly, or with whom Palpatine procreated. Okay, so the funny thing is, this Star Wars is so fucking bad that even I someone who's just outside of the political spectrum can agree with a far leftist on Palpatine being forced into the story. But basically, you can see they hate Palpatine because he's a white guy, and they think Rey's tainted to have come from a white guy. This is just, again, completely nonsensical. It ties into this whole culture right now in woke movies where the girls in the movies have no dads because it's taboo to even admit that a man had anything to do with your creation. A disgusting, tainted, eugenically inferior being had something to do with your existence. Just don't show that piece of shit. You came from a white guy? Fuck you. We can't acknowledge that. That's what this author is saying about Palpatine. Crazy shit, huh? I told you this article was crazy. It continues. And then they say to try purging the image of Palpatine procreating from your head once it's in. The thing is, I worked this out, right? There was 30 years between The Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. And I worked out the age of Rey. It was like 19 in Force Awakens. And so you can work out the age of Palpatine. Palpatine was about 50 something, when he banged and had 2 kids, a son and a daughter. And then there was a grandchild, which is Rey. So if Palpatine was 50, banging, it doesn't mean his face was all fucked up yet. That might have happened a little bit later, I think. But basically, Palpatine was banging, making those 2, his son and daughter, before the end of Return of the Jedi. So maybe it was like 10 years before or something, at which point he wasn't all shriveled up like a testicle. But anyways, I digress. Let's get back to the article. It says, to those invested in The Last Jedi's ideas about force and heroism, nobody, because Rey's a Mary Sue, the most unheroic character ever, and the force is completely broken in that movie. The article continues, it's also a crassly cynical letdown. I'd agree with that. Johnson's installment dedicated itself to democratizing the force. Democratizing the force. Anyone can have the force. No, you fucking can't. You have to be blessed, mate. If everyone had the force, it wouldn't be fucking special, you idiot. The article continues, the series always appointed a Skywalker, Anakin, Luke, Leia, Ben as essential heroes and or anti-heroes in the story of saving the galaxy. That Rey's parents were ordinary people meant anyone from anywhere could be born a hero. What determined a person's place in the world was who they chose to be, rather than their last name, because names and sex and gender, like none of this means anything. We're all the same, and gender and DNA is not important. Bullshit. Survival of the fittest, motherfucker. The point is, in Star Wars, it's not about not having parents and being this kind of weird amorphous thing that comes from nowhere. It's about, despite who your parents are, Luke's parents were dicks. And despite your upbringing, Luke had pretty much fuck all. He was a farmer. He could still make it. And if that isn't democratizing the force, I don't know what is. You're removing the democracy if you just give someone force powers in some weird socialist, Marxist way of thinking, where we just spread around the resources to everyone and everyone's amazing. No, it's not like that. It's all about individualism and what you make of it yourself. This author is deluded. The article continues. The Last Jedi's parting shot underscored the beauty of that notion. A stable boy on Canto Bright who, like Rey, pawned off by his parents, uses the Force to summon a broom to his hand. I don't want to see little kids that can be a Jedi too. Fuck all that shit. Keep that in the nursery, you twat. The article continues. The yearning notes of Luke's theme play as he looks up in time to see the Millennium Falcon jump into hyperdrive. Why do these people just want to see social justice indoctrination in films? Who wants to fucking see that shit? I want to see Luke Skywalker kicking ass, you boring cunt. The article continues. Having Rey confront the loneliest answer to a lifelong burning question felt like the dramatic equivalent of Luke learning that his father was actually Darth Vader. What the fuck? What the fuck? Are you comparing Rey not knowing who her parents are to Luke finding out his dad is Darth Vader? What the fuck are you actually talking about? There was no point in the movie where Rey came to this dramatic realization. It was always just kind of generally established, thrown out there. She doesn't really have a background. And you're comparing that to Luke learning his father was Darth Vader? The article continues. The Empire Strikes Back injected notes of grey into a previously black and white situation, denying the Jedi in training and the audience the easiest recourse to hate the villain and want to see him die. The Last Jedi pulls something similar with Rey's story, denying her the luxury of a predetermined destiny. How can you compare the culmination of two epic films, the best of all time probably, at a point with the ultimate twist where Vader says to Luke, "I'm your father," to The Last Jedi, where it's vaguely alluded to with no build-up, no explanation, no backstory, no gravitas, that Rey doesn't really have any parents at all? That's like saying something that's really, really great is comparable to nothing. What is this guy talking about? The article continues. Rey is our protagonist, and the truth is, in the story, the toughest possible thing for her to hear is, you're not going to get the easy answer that you're so-and-so's daughter, this is your place, Johnson told me after The Last Jedi's release. You're going to have to stand on your own 2 feet and define yourself in this world, and you always want to throw the hardest thing at your protagonist. I mean, Rian Johnson's talking out of his ass. That's not a hard thing to throw at the protagonist. I don't really know who my parents are. Oh my God, how are you going to continue? But it's much worse having the most evil guy in the world who's killed your fucking surrogate dad tell you he's your fucking dad. I can't be asked to read this article anymore because it's just psychobabble. It's complete. We're in this clown world at the moment where you've got something that's categorically, unequivocally true, and you got these people who are looking at it going, nah, this is not really what you think it is. This is completely the opposite thing. This is a clown world. This is and these are the people you want to give leeway to? All you apologists for diversity brainwashing entities like Disney's Star Wars trilogy are basically giving a few inches to the hardcore leftists, and as I said before, give an inch, take a mile. You want to live in a world like this where you're reading articles that are just full of backwards speak, saying black is white and white is black and left is right and right is left and up is down and down is up? Go ahead, mate. But I'm going to call this shit out wherever I can. The article is really, really, really fucking long, so I can't be asked to melt your brain with it much longer because it's just ideological drivel. But yeah, let me read you the last 2 paragraphs from Melissa Leon. She says, Rey ends her journey alone in the desert, much like the one where she began. Far from her found family, a nosy woman pries about her last name and Rey adopts Skywalker, a touching gesture designed to appeal to Luke and Leia superfans like me, but which I found distinctly unsatisfying. I'll agree with you that I found it distinctly unsatisfying, but a touching gesture? No, it's taking a shit on Luke and Leia's names, that she's stealing their fucking prestigious Skywalker family name without even their permission. Imagine you died and someone who treated you like shit, like Rey, she totally disrespected Skywalker. They didn't have any relationship at all. They barely had any bond at all in the film. And then Luke dies and she nicks his name. He never even said, you can take my name. Imagine you died and someone took your name you didn't even like. How would you feel? I fucking hate that part at the end of the movie. And that movie's also this very leftist kind of ideological point, which is, it doesn't matter where you're from, we're all the same, and like anyone can be a good guy and anyone can be a Skywalker. No, not everyone can be a Skywalker. You need to be a fucking 1 in a billion human being. You need to be born with a special talent. Not everyone can be a Skywalker, especially vegan soy girl Rey. And yet this article is on Rey's side. Ridiculous. The article continues. Why must Rey acquiesce to some stranger who demands to know her identity? Yeah, because you can't ask a woman a question. Do you really want these people to become mainstream? You want to live in this fucking Orwellian clown world? The article continues, why can't Rey just be allowed to forge a new legacy on her own? She had 3 movies to do it, and she couldn't do it because she's a shitty actress and the script is rubbish and the movie's infected by woke politics. The article continues, the implied answer, I suppose, is that it's more important that the Skywalker dynasty and Disney's IP lives on past the screen life of the scavenger girl whose bravery and strength proved so divisive. I think of this ending and then the one that showed a little boy from nowhere dreaming of freedom and endless possibilities on Canto Bight. Between the two, I know which I prefer. None of them. They're both fucking bullshit. Everything from these films is fucking awful. This is all the diversity, gender and inclusion. Every movie to you is rated upon how diverse it is. How lacking in taste are you? How to entertain these people? You want to be entertained just by sticking a woke talking point in there? That's not entertainment. It's got nothing to do with entertainment. And you want to make every movie like that? Fuck off, Melissa. So there we have it. Give them an inch, take a mile. Look at these people running mile after mile with this weird woke shit. And they're trying to shame us normal people with because we disagree with it. I've said it before, I said it again. These far left psychos say some weird shit, and then when normal people in the middle call it out, we get accused of being the fucked up people. Nah, mate, sorry, you're fucked up. Stop with this trolling. So yeah, there you go. Star Wars is pissing off the social justice warriors, which is pretty fucking funny. So the author of this article is literally a nobody. I'm looking at her Twitter, and she's got more followers than me, but less engagement. Like, all of her tweets get one like, maybe one retweet. So she's pretty irrelevant, is Melissa Leon. So finally today, Stormzy is a knob. So Stormzy is a British rapper. British rap fucking is terrible. It's fucking awful. It's just that like loads of people go, yeah, yeah. It's fucking awful. These people can't rap. I've never heard a good lyric from an English rapper ever in the history of UK rap. Tell me one good UK rap lyric. Yeah, I nicked his fucking trainers, and then like I got high, yeah, and it was a no-brainer. So I turned around, yeah, I'm hot like radiator, and then like I come back around, yeah, and I'm no skater because I'm on the wheels of my board. You get me, yeah? It's like my fucking marijuana spliffs my sword. That's what they fucking say, and everyone gets really, really excited by it. They're fucking awful. So Stormzy, who's supposedly the best British rapper ever, who's fucking terrible, no good lyrics at all, who somehow headlined Glastonbury and everyone's like, oh, wicked. He's come out and he's being attacked because he said that 100% the UK is racist, like everyone's racist. But actually, in defense of Stormzy, he didn't say that, and the media twisted his words. But after that, I'm going to show you a video of Stormzy attempting to convince people to vote for anti-Semite Jew hater, Soviet-style nutcase Jeremy Corbyn. So let's look at this article with Stormzy. It says on CNN, Stormzy said he believed 100% that the UK is racist. After misquoting him, a broadcaster has now apologised. So they definitely misquoted him. So in an interview, the article says, with Italian newspaper La Repubblica last week, Stormzy was asked if the UK was still racist today, to which he replied, definitely, 100%. So I can tell you from the British point of view that definitely 100% just means yeah. It just means yeah. And so Stormzy was asked if the UK was racist, and he said yeah. And he's probably right. There's probably loads of racist people still in England. You come across them all the time. That's my anecdotal evidence. I'm not going to sit here and tell you everyone's not racist in the UK, because there are a lot of racist people that I've met. But when he said definitely 100%, he didn't mean 100% of people in the UK are racist. But that's what loads of newspapers tried to spin that quote into. So when pressed by journalist Antonello Guerrera, the Star elaborated further, saying that racism in the UK was more hidden, than in Italy, but that it had worsened under Prime Minister Boris Johnson's premiership. All right, he's got his anecdotal evidence, I've got mine. The Sun's headline about the interview read, Stormzy launches Twitter tirade after reports he said Britain was 100% racist. So that's just spinning the headline into a falsehood. Stormzy says he believes Britain is 100% a racist country. LBC said that. And then the Daily Mail said, Stormzy claims the UK is definitely racist in its headline. So the original paper that published that has now come out and apologised. But that doesn't absolve Stormzy from any blame, because the guy is not only is he a terrible rapper, but he's a dick as well. So let's listen to Stormzy's argument to persuade you to vote for a Jewish-hating Prime Minister. Here we go.
Like, don't just see, like, I know a lot of people saying go vote and it can seem like just bullshit, but hear me out, yeah.
No, but trust me, yeah, like, they like vote, yeah, like you can like vote, but like mans, when I say vote, yeah, like you get me, you don't understand, fam. Like, I'm not just like vote, yeah, I'm like vote, you get me, like vote, yeah, and that means like not like with the paper, yeah, like just don't get the paper, crumple it, yeah, like make it flat and like with a pen, yeah, proper blood, like sign your name, you get me. So Stormzy is continuing his very eloquent explanation of why you should vote Labour in the UK.
Man's never voted, yeah. Man's always looked at politicians and thought, you lot are fucking iffy. Like.
Yeah, it's like don't trust them, yeah, because they don't want to help you, get me, like, but trust, yeah, this one, yeah, it's different, like, trust, yeah, I know, blood, I'm a thinker, yeah, like, I think about life, blood, like, it's not because I'm just, like, I'm Blaze, yeah, like, Blitz, you get me, like, I'm a little lean, but it's not like that, yeah, because I think about moon and the stars, you get me, like, philosophy, yeah, like, so trust, yeah, it's not just like that, yeah, trust me, listen.
Man thinks, man, don't trust you lot. You lot don't do nothing for man in my community and like my circumstance. But for the first time in my 26 years of life here, there's a man.
Yeah, like over like 26 years, yeah, it's like, that's like, it's like 26 times 365, yeah, it's like, trust me, it's like nearly millions, blood, like millions of days, you get me, like, experience. There's a man, like, I just know, like, he's good, yeah, trust, listen, yeah, I'll tell you who he is, yeah.
Man trust, like, and I would not use I wouldn't,
like, you know, I'm famous, yeah, so, like, I'm not gonna, like, tell you what to do, yeah, just, like, I respect you all, you get me, but just listen, yeah.
I wouldn't do all of this, I wouldn't have my platform, my voice, to say that to you guys if I didn't wholeheartedly, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, if I didn't, like, basically, you know what I mean, like what, yeah, like, you know what I mean, like, yeah, it's like, you get me, like, basically, right, trust, you know what I mean, yeah?
Personally, for me, it's very clear cut, yeah?
Yeah, it's like clear, yeah, trust.
Jeremy Corbyn is a man of hope, a man of justice, a man of...
Yeah, justice, yeah, like, he knows, like, he's got the justice, like, all the wrong things, yeah, the man's is, like, gonna make it right, you get me?
Quality. And the other guys are fucking pricks, so don't be stupid, bro. Go use your vote.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, like, what I said is, like, this is my whole explanation, yeah? So it's like, this guy, like, he's good, yeah? Like, he's kind of, like, good, yeah? But this other man's, he's shit. So don't be a prick, yeah? Just fucking vote. That's basically what he said. Stormzy is a knob, and there's all the evidence that you need right there. So... it's getting fucking hot in here. It's nearly Christmas, and I got the heater on because it's quite cold outside. Christmas in Japan, it's gonna be super fun. So that was Give an Inch, Take a Mile. If you give an inch to knobs like Stormzy, if you give an inch to all these woke social justice wankers in the media who even they're not satisfied by the woke clusterfuck that is Star Wars, if you give an inch to these people that are saying, if you say a man is a man, it's hate speech and you should be silenced, these people will make your lives hell. This is just the beginning. They're already turning on their own. And after that, they're going to turn on you. So don't accept this weird, disordered way of thinking. If everyone at the same time just says, this is nonsense, men are men, and that's a fact. We all said that on Twitter. It would just go away. And this tiny minority would be drowned out. So that's about it for today's Johnny Massacre show. It's very political, a bit too political. Can't even speak. But it's good to talk about these things because they're very relevant, aren't they? So let's talk about something relevant to my life. I mean, I've got all this shit on my phone. I was taking these videos. I wanted to show you some stuff in Japan. But I like doing these like very basically edited videos without too much cutting and too much material. So whenever it gets to this point, after I talk about the news and culture and stuff, I want to show you these videos of Japan and make it all vloggy and shit. But I just can't be arsed. So I'm just going to show you something I bought the other day. You already know about this jacket. I love this jacket. But I bought this wicked skull top. And look, the flame's a little bit dasai, as we say in Japan. Dasai means lame or cheesy. But trust me, when I got trust me blood, yeah, like trust it's going to look good, yeah. Like when I wear this with my leather jacket, all you see is the skull. It looks proper, mate. Proper Punisher pirate vibes with my leather jacket. Next video, I'm going to rock the leather jacket and this skull top, which I'm really happy about. The brand is, I've never heard of it before, Vargas. And it was pretty fucking expensive and a massive waste of money. This piece of shit fabric with some distressed holes in it that was probably made in China. But fuck it, man. You want to look good, you got to pay to the fucking nose. So make sure you come back for the next video or I'll be coming round your house. Also, make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell because that's what all those other cunts tell you to do. I've been Johnny Massacre. Layers.